Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. What's going on? Mike here once again, and this evening I have a wonderful guest with me, and I'm so grateful that we are here together. And one thing brings us here, our journey from home to Germany and everything that we experience here. And we're very passionate about sharing our experiences because we live in an information world today. And the truth is, the real heroes of today are those people who find something and put it out there. Because if you find something and you don't put it out there, it's only a matter of time before people get to know about it. So we genuinely share the information that we find in our fingertips to connect to people and continue to make impact in our current location, but also where we come from. And that's why I'm very happy to have you again with me today. And before we start, I would like you to just briefly introduce yourself shortly to the people watching right now so they get to meet you.
Hi everyone. First, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to have these conversations as they are quite important. I'm Ogena. I'm an architect, an interior designer, a lighting designer. I kind of do everything. And yeah, I've been in Germany for 5 years now. Yeah, I think that's about sums up who I am. I'm always
For
talking
sure.
on the internet. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So maybe I think a good way for us to start would be to maybe briefly tell about your story. How you came from Nigeria to Germany, just so that people with hopefully similar background could relate to you, and then see if there's something there for them too.
I came to Germany in 2019 as a student. So I came to study. Um, I'm always saying this thing every single time, but my friends say that the real gist is that I came for man. So I
Wow, for
spent my
real?
year abroad.
No way.
So that's the real story. But the cover up story is that I came to study.
I have a
Yeah.
similar story actually. It's funny.
Oh, you see,
Yeah.
they really are quite connected in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's the general picture of it. My husband, who at the time was my fiance, decided one day that it was a good idea for us to relocate, and he came first, of course, to study as well, and then make preparations, put things together, help me to also come study as well. And yes,
Okay.
here we are.
Great. Okay. Let's go just very briefly from you being a student to working because I think that's very interesting. A lot of us study here, and some of us we find we easily, get into the job market or we're able to actually put our skills into the industry. And many other people are also not able to do that. So I think it's a great achievement that, well, one is able to come study and then transition also into the workforce. So maybe you could just share a bit of your story, how that transition happened, and what you think is relevant for people to know, you know.
So probably I'll start off with time off in school. So first in school, maybe I'll start with a mistake. One of the mistake I made was that I didn't start on time to look for internship positions, which
Okay.
meant that I started looking for an internship position in my third semester. Anywho, that was the starting point for transition for me because I got an internship place. I did my internship for 6 months, and then I got retained as a working student. So I worked for another 6 months or so in the
Okay.
office before I graduated, and then left, and then applied to other places as well, and
Okay.
got other opportunities. I thought to move from the city I was in before, where I did my internship, largely because I felt it was quite an expensive city.
Oh,
I
where was
was
that?
I was in Stuttgart. It
Big,
was
for the big
really,
boys and girls.
honestly, it's not for children. Super
Ah!
expensive. So
Yeah.
it didn't make any sense at all. Although I got a job offer in Stuttgart, but I didn't take it. I took the one in I got one in Wuppertal as well. So
Oh,
I took the
okay,
one in
nice.
Wuppertal, which for me made more sense at the time, at least, because it was the city is a cheaper city. It's a kind of a central city in
Yeah,
some way.
yeah.
But while it sounds like a smooth transition, it wasn't exactly smooth. In the
So,
sense that after working for a bit in my first office where I did my internship and stuff. I'm moving on to the next place. One would imagine that I've gotten a lot of experience, especially when it comes to salary negotiations, and things like that. So
mhm.
my first real job that I got, I didn't quite negotiate properly for my salary. That is my own fault. I don't blame the office because every business is looking out to make profits for themselves, so
For
they're
sure.
first looking at
Yeah.
it for themselves. Yeah. It's up to you to have proper information and negotiate properly. So that for me was a struggle at the time, because I couldn't change my visa as soon as I had to, or as soon as I wanted to.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for a bit, I was working with my 18 months visa thingy, um,
Okay.
while trying to understand why are these people not changing why are these people refusing to collect to
No
collect what
way.
I have? They're like, no,
Oh
we cannot give
God.
you this. Your
Oh
salary is
goodness.
too small. Blah blah blah. I'm like, these guys, why are you complaining on my behalf? It's my money.
It's my money. It's enough for me. What's your problem?
I don't know. I'm not
I'm not
complaining. Why are you
asking you for
complaining?
money. So what's the problem? Yeah,
Yeah, it was
100%.
really interesting. But I think everything happens for a reason, because the disappointment did turn out to be a blessing in the end. Because I did love my office a lot. I wouldn't have moved as soon as I moved from the
Mhm.
office, because I'm someone who tried to stay grounded as much as possible
Okay.
in a place. I don't like moving around too much. I like to
Yeah.
rather stay in a place, stay grounded, and you know more like a vertical growth within that space, as opposed to moving around and then starting afresh. And then, although there are there are upsides to
For
moving
sure.
offices,
For
but
sure.
in my own case, I didn't have plans to move so quickly. But
Okay.
this forced me to move, so it meant I started scouting. Initially, I was hoping that the mistake is from them, that they don't know what they're talking about. they have they have to find solution to this because I really, really did love my office. The
Okay.
guys in the office are really fantastic people.
Okay.
Um, my boss was a very cool boss. Even though he was not paying me plenty money, but he was a good boss
Yeah.
in that
I'll touch
in
on
that
that
sense. That,
shortly.
yeah, I learned quite a lot, and eventually, when I saw that this is not gonna work, then I started applying
Mm-hmm.
to other places.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got where I'm working now within the aviation industry, even though it has moved me slightly away from my original path of architecture and buildings and space, and moved me now to aircrafts and and stuff like that. But it's so far so good. It's been a cool
Yeah.
transition. Like I said, it's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. 100%. And I feel like the main lesson here is that w- people have to ask themselves what is driving you to work for a particular company, and especially when you're starting as a fresh graduate. I think I can relate very much to your story because it was also similar for me. When I finished my first job, that was in 2018, the company I worked for, I literally was like, in my head, I don't care if you pay me, because
Hmm.
I know I don't really need the money because I was living with my brother and stuff was okay. I just wanted to have that first professional work experience in Germany, because
Hmm.
that's really all that matters. And if you start with a small company, then you have the opportunity to learn and actually grow a lot faster, because you'd have access to things that you would otherwise with bigger companies not have access to.
True,
So
very
I
true.
think the main message here would be for guys who are starting afresh, think about starting small, in my personal opinion, and grow from there. If you decide to stay in the same company, go elsewhere, because I think in Germany, everyone is looking to for who to take the risk on you first and foremost.
Hmm.
A small company takes that risk on you. boom, you have your first work experience in Germany, your LinkedIn profile changes, recruiters will start flocking into your inbox, and just
Hmm.
then you become really, really hot cake. Uh, as opposed to, just trying to start from the top and probably not having access to really the rudiments within that industry or within the
True.
German workforce. And then it can be really frustrating. So I
It
feel like for
is.
that, yeah,
It is.
I
I
feel like,
remember one time I was making a, I don't know if I was making a video now or if I was just talking to someone, I can't remember really, and I was talking about salaries, and I was saying that while it is fantastic to have a good great pay from the jump, but um let's not be distracted by that. You know, if
yeah,
you get a job and it looks like the pay is not as much as you would want to, so just start first, and just
yeah,
get your
yeah,
feet in and
yeah,
start learning the ropes, and then over time you would eventually be able to earn your worth, be able to earn
definitely,
what you're actually worth,
definitely,
as opposed
yeah,
to just waiting for the big pay and the big guys that would
yeah.
take you.
hmm And how relevant was the German language for you? What did you study again, and which industry did you start working
I
in?
studied my background is architecture. And so in
Okay,
Nigeria, I studied architecture. Then here, I
okay,
studied architectural lighting, which is some sort of a specialized aspect or specialized part of architecture. My
okay.
first experience was then in interior lighting, interior and exterior lighting. So much more like within specific spaces, buildings and stuff like that. Being doing more hospitals, universities, school buildings, and
Stuff.
government buildings and things like that. So, which was
Okay.
a really great experience for me. And then the second office, I did more urban light, so which is more like lighting cities and facade designs, just designing cityscapes. So we're doing
Okay.
designs for a lot of cities in Germany. Which was also another very very interesting opportunity for me as well to learn. So in this case, I was opportune to touch almost every aspect of the field that I've learned or that I've worked in. And then
Yeah.
the opportunity for aviation came up as well, and then now
Amazing.
I find myself there. So the experience that I've gotten from all of these other aspects, and of course my um the information I already have as a designer comes in very quite handy here, within this space, because I'm still designing a space, even though now it's metal, but
Yeah.
it's still a space, regardless.
Interesting. But back before all this happened, did you dream about working within the aviation industry as an architect?
To be
Architect.
honest, I never would have thought that was a thing. I never would have. So, but when I saw the job opening, I was like, really? Okay, people do this. I never knew. I never knew this. And what was funny at the time was I and a friend of mine were just having a random conversation about how
Okay.
interesting the lighting within automation in the automotive industry is. We're
hmm
just having just a very random chat on it. And he was like, I think you will really like this. You seem to be interested in it, even though it was not like an interest that I was really interested. It was just something I was like, oh, this is actually, really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
hmm
And then just randomly sent me was like, I saw this, we were just talking about this some days ago, and hey, there's a job opening and you could actually do this, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, okay, okay. Let's give it a try. Let's see if this actually works. Then of course I went through everything that was asked that was that they need, and I was, all right, come on, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. Okay, let's see how this works, because there's actually no training for a lighting designer in aviation.
Okay.
You get,
Okay.
so you of
Yeah.
course have to train in something, and then transfer the knowledge you have into
Okay.
this space. So
Yeah. Yeah.
while it's a slightly different field and never something that I thought is possible, it's I found this super interesting, and which is why I now tell a few, well, maybe not now, I've always said this, that no matter what we study, we should not be hold ourselves, confine ourselves within that space. That means there's a lot of possibility. Why are you laughing?
Yeah. Because it's like The same thing I say is exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot,
Totally.
because it's, especially for us as architects, we have the
Yeah.
tendency to be like, I have suffered this architecture, I have suffered. I have to practice this architecture because architecture is not it's not for the weak. We
Oh
go through a
man.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes, while we're not saying that other professions don't have their own rigorous training, but it's a rigorous training, and some people, because of that, they have a certain level of sentimental attachment, either to the
Yeah.
title or to the
Mm-hmm.
experience,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So most people then confine themselves to this field. If we're not
Yeah.
building and we're not designing, it feels like we're not achieving, or we're not doing what we hoped to do. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
that's not the case. There's so many, even people, even doctors, they go into several other aspects of medicine that is not just attending to patients and stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Totally.
As long as we're able
Totally.
to open our minds, and
Yeah.
explore,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot. And
Oh,
sometimes
well,
those other things, they even end up even being much more profitable, because
100%. Definitely. Definitely.
which
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
I feel like yeah, before we continue, so guys, if you're just joining us, my name is Mike and I'm the co-founder of SETLINN. SETLINN is actually all about what we are talking about right now. That you get an opportunity not just to have this type of information once in a while in a live show like this, but actually where you can connect with other people. So our goal at Settling is to connect and inform people when it comes to accessing opportunities in other parts of the globe. Currently headquartered in Germany, but I think we have users from all over the world. So feel free to check that out. And this evening, I have Ogena here with me, and we are sharing our experience living in Germany as students and also people who are working. Um, I was smiling while you were saying all these things because it's the same thing I tell people, and that's also one unique thing I find about studying and working in Germany or other parts of Europe. That the industry or the way the economy is built here is that with what you study, you can find relevance in different ways and not just about that precise area. In my case, my background is in biochemistry and then infection biology, or you can call it public health. Um, but all my career in Germany since 2018 I've been working in the areas of sales and business development and stuff like this. And then people ask me, how do you do that? You didn't study business management, and why are you doing that? But no, you need the knowledge of the product, of the industry, of what you're selling before you can actually be relevant in that field. You don't
mhm.
actually need a business degree before you can work as a sales manager or as a business development manager. No, you actually need to have a strong background in that field. And what that translates to is that with what I studied, I have multiple, career perspective, different areas that I can work in, and then it becomes easier for me to, if I am flexible, and I'm not just focused on one aspect. Maybe just to relate to your own story, my experience back then was when I finished my studies, I felt like, hey, I needed to work in the research industry as a lab, whatever, just doing research in the lab, or go for a PhD and just keep doing the whole research stuff because my course was like really heavy on that. But then before I came to Germany, I had the experience working as a sales manager in Nigeria for a small pharmacy. I feel like I'm someone who likes to talk, like to communicate. If I'm passionate about something, I just keep talking about it. So it's very okay for me. I love doing sales. I have no issues with that. So then I talked to a friend who was already in Germany before I came, and he said, "Hey Mike, what did you have some work experience back home?" I said, "Yes." And then he said, "You should apply to similar position." And honestly, it changed the game for me because it became easier for me to attend interviews, to talk. Back then, the other positions I was applying for, I felt like I was just forcing myself to do it because it's not really who I am. But when I connected back to what I studied before, or rather my previous work experience, then it was easy. I didn't need to prepare for interviews. I would just go and start talking about it because I have a strong background in the product, the company, the industry, or whatever it is that they are doing, and I can talk very freely about it. So it really changed the game. And then to add on top of that, there was also the language stuff too, which we might
Ah,
come to in a moment. Well, now that you said, tell us, what was your language experience, getting the job?
honestly, my struggle with language is ridiculous, to be honest, and I find it embarrassing that it's been 5 years in Germany and I cannot say my German is good enough for communication. I find that very embarrassing, and I always tell my friends who talk to me about wanting to come to Germany, I'm like, if you can study in German, do it, because this will force you to first learn the language and you
Yeah,
already get that out of the way. Because one of
yeah.
the biggest hurdle is thinking that you have the time on your hands to, after all, you're studying in English anyway, so you don't even need the language
Hmm.
anyway. And
Hmm.
then you keep procrastinating and procrastinating, and before you know it, it's 5 years and you've not learned the language good in not that you cannot understand anything, but you've not learned it good enough to tell someone I speak German.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
find that to be quite embarrassing, and I'm working on it. Our target for 2025, German.
That's
We
so
have to learn
very
it.
strange.
We have to learn it. I have, however, been quite fortunate that everywhere I have
Hmm.
worked in English. Even in the other offices where the language of the company was German, for
Yeah,
whatever reason, they just allowed me to work in English, and then I can
yeah.
do translations, and I'll show my colleague, is the German correct? They say it's correct. Okay, good. Then I don't know why they were so lenient with me, But
Mm.
now in the office I work now, I work completely in English, so that is I'll say I'm lucky in that area. But
Okay.
for most people, that will not be the case because, of course, even though I'm lucky, I also know that there is a ceiling that I will never break if I don't learn the language. There's a
True.
level of growth I will never have until I learn
True.
the language. So I have that at the back of my mind, of course, and I'm now trying to consciously get myself to, it's easy to say, it's more difficult to do it.
Yeah, totally.
It
Totally.
is for me, there's just really been big struggle, but we're on
Yeah.
it. Give it up.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a bit about the industry that you work now, the aviation space or the aviation industry. Uh, how did you get in there again, and what does it feel like working in that space? As a Nigerian, as a former international student, and now working in that space, what does it feel like? How was your journey into that space?
Like I said, someone had seen the opening and sent it to me and said, okay, there's an
Okay.
opening, give it a shot. I had given it a shot, and well, after all the several, because of course it's a very big company, so there are lots of interview stages to go
Mm-hmm.
through. But long story short, we got in. I'll say my experience so far has been beautiful. I have so far learned. I've been in this office now for 1 year because I started there last year, December. It's been really, really good. To be honest, it's been really, really good. It's a bit away from my original path, of course, but
Okay.
it's also interesting to learn new things,
Yeah.
and then to see how things intertwine in different fields, to see how
Yeah.
things are able to, things that you are able to apply within one space, you're also able to apply it within another space, and then rethink,
Mhm.
some sort of recalibrating your mind, how you
Yeah.
process your design thinking, if that's it.
Totally.
Um,
Mhm.
and luckily, I have really great colleagues who are quite helpful. I think
Mhm.
because the office is, people are generally very respectful, and
Mhm.
it makes it largely easy to do a lot of things as even an international person, and it's quite international as well. There are so
Yeah.
many people, for example, in my department or in my team, we are really, really mixed. We are from all over the world, so it's amazing that you see people from different parts of the world working together in some sort of a synergy, and you're also
Yeah.
working with other people from different parts of the world. I mean, who are, say, customers and clients,
Yeah.
that you have to interact with. So now you have to think about things from other perspectives, from other
Totally.
cultural perspectives.
Mhm.
You need to
Mhm.
remember what might be rude in someone's part of the world, and how people
Yeah.
might say. I have a colleague who mentioned to me that I had said sometime that when you look someone into their eyes as a Nigerian, that's you as a younger person looking at an older person into the eyes is considered rude. So it's quite it's quite disrespectful. But that I'm learning now that that's not a thing in Germany. That it's okay to
No.
look people in the eyes. Actually, they might feel uncomfortable. They're
Yeah,
not looking them in the eyes and stuff. So
yeah,
he had
totally.
mentioned to me one time in all our conversations that he remembers that and he tries to not look me in the eyes for too long, so I'm not uncomfortable. Which I found to be
Oh,
really, is a beautiful thing. That people are able
yeah,
to bear in mind that we are very different, but
totally.
despite all of that, we are still able to, work together. So I'll say it's been a beautiful experience, in my opinion, to be honest. And
Mm.
I hope that I'm able to do this for quite a long time. I see
Mhm.
a lot of growth,
Yeah.
even within the space of light, especially because lighting within aviation is not like there's not be light in aviation, but I mean it's not the design aspect of it is quite new. It's not something that has been here for such a long time. So I still
Okay.
feel like part of the pioneers of um uh decorative, like call it decorative lighting, like more like mood lighting within aviation, as opposed to just what you have as standard engineering things. So
Hmm.
beautiful and say great. People will say, "Hey, that's all you will say because it's your company," but it is true.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Because I find it really very interesting. But help me understand the lighting we're talking about here. Is it the lighting we see inside the aircraft, in the airport? Which
The
lighting
lighting you
exactly?
see inside the aircraft.
Okay, it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
you
really
guys
cool. I
have
have
to
a
do a
few
lot of
friends
work
in
for
mind
that.
who. You said what?
No, I'm saying I see it. It looks really simple but beautiful. I'm just
Yeah,
asking. A lot of work put into that before it looks that way.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of planning, a lot of careful documentation. Of course, there's some part of fancy design stuff that goes in, but then there are lots of other detailed documentation that also, because in every job you have the grunt part of the work and you have the really cool fancy part of the
Hmm.
work. I have a few friends who tell me, but I don't see any difference in the lights in the aircraft. I say it's because you're in economy, you don't have money. If you have money, if you have money, you see.
Dang.
No, that's not the case. And in any case, that's what we do. The light within, or at least that's what I do. The light
Yeah.
within the aircraft. Yeah.
I think we should have another session just focused on that and just go a bit into the more technical details and yeah, to help other upcoming architect that might want to explore the space, would really be interesting.
Technical details. That would be difficult. I can talk about general. Yeah, that would be difficult to do, but I can talk generally
Okay.
about what can be done. Just general conversations. But going into details might be a bit
Yeah.
might be a bit
Yeah, I mean,
difficult.
not maybe details, but something that would be relevant for upcoming architect to say, hey, if you
Okay,
want to go into
okay,
this
okay.
space, pay attention to this and these are like the stuff required and so on. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. I get it now. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. That's
I'm
possible.
I'm curious, like, I mean, before now you didn't have interest within the aviation space. But do you see any, from your experience, do you see some kind of, does Nigeria have an aviation industry? Let me even start from that.
Please, we
'Cause
do.
do we? Okay.
Please.
Do you
We
see
do. Is
yourself?
is is epic a joke to you? I don't. This is please.
Do you see yourself as um, yeah, but I think you would agree that there's a lot that the Nigerian aviation space has to learn from, right? Wouldn't you say that from what you've learned so far? I mean, um,
Well, I think it's all of these things are based on the airlines and what they want to do and what their own vision and plans are. It's not necessarily like a national. It's not like necessarily like a countrywide thing. That
that's
you say.
true.
So it depends on what each airline wants to achieve and what they're able to afford to do.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah.
So of course, while we have a lot, and I believe that there's still a lot of growth that of course could be done in several aspects of what we do,
Mm.
but we're doing the much we can do, given giving
Yes,
limited, because
yeah.
when you take MPs for example, when
Okay.
you listen to things that goes on, all the hurdles that they have to overcome, you find out that these guys are actually really struggling to be above water. So some of these other extra things, maybe might not be some extra expenses that is not the real thing that they are battling with now. This is just my own uninformed opinion.
Yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah.
extra fancy things might be an extra cost for them that is
Mm.
not their current real problem. Their real problem is to first deal with the other things first. And when they've sorted all those ones, they can say, okay, let's go and start doing all that fancy stuff.
Let's touch up the lights. Let's touch up the lights.
Yeah.
Take up the
But that
lights.
doesn't mean that they don't have. That doesn't mean that they are not lighting within. Of course, they are.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's just how they decide to work with what they have. Of course.
Sure. No, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, I really look forward to having, other conversations there. Something that would help, young or upcoming architects to also go in that space. Because definitely back home in Nigeria, I think, yeah, a lot of the industries and what is it called again? The NFA. Is it NFA or NAI? The Nigerian Airport Authority, NAA, that
Um.
they could also learn from. But that's something for another day,
NAA.
probably. Yeah, that's something for
Me, I
another
don't
day.
even know. See, I don't. I'm not even an expert in anything. All those aviation, just I don't know what they do. The only thing I know is this small, tiny part of it. This tiny, tiny, teeny, little bitty part
I mean,
of
that's
it,
where it
which
starts from. It starts from somewhere and then it grows, right? And who knows,
true.
tomorrow you could then become the aviation minister of Nigeria. Why not? Because that's how you begin to put everything together, you know? Someone
No,
who
I
really
think
has
I
the,
think I think there'll be more people who are better suited for things like that, because I
oh, I
believe
mean,
that being an aviation minister would involve a lot more than just designing stuff. You need to be
no,
able
I mean,
to.
you start from somewhere, but you grow. No one says, I don't think you're going to be the same place in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15
True.
years. Yeah.
Well, never say never.
Never say never. I think we will speak about this in the next 10 years or 15 years, and I'll show you
Okay,
this
now I need to
video
make a note. I
and
need to
let you
make a
know.
note.
Yeah. No, but really cool stuff. Cool stuff. Um, you are very active in the diasporan community. And I mean, where I first found you was in the video or the interview you had with yeah, one of the biggest TV stations in Germany, Deutsche Welle, which I found very interesting because of how much passion you talked about the experience of international students or professionals or skilled workers here in Germany. I'd like to know what's your core message so far living in Germany over 5 years now? Um, what do you think? What are you most passionate about that you always just like to talk and let people be aware of? What's that core message for you?
For me, I'm very, very big on community building. I'm very big on community integration. Even though now that I say integration, it sounds quite ironic saying that I don't speak German yet. But I'm big on all of those, and big on letting everyone know that everything is up for the taking.
Yeah,
You know, everything is up for. There's nothing is limiting you.
yeah,
Nothing. Even though sometimes, so I have a few conversations with some people who send me DMs almost every time, and one of the many questions that you get is, "What is it like working as a black person, or how are you being treated as a black
hmm
person?" And
hmm
my first response is always, "That should never be what you're thinking about."
okay, okay,
Not that that is not a reality, but that should not be what you're thinking about. What you should be thinking about is, how can I bring relevant skills that
yeah,
is undeniable? When you have skills that is undeniable, nobody is looking at whether you're yellow, white, black, or whatever.
yep,
That
yep,
doesn't mean that doesn't take away the fact that there can be some bias sometimes in certain
yeah,
places, but
yeah,
that should not be what you focus on, because I feel strongly that when you focus so much on certain things, you are blinded to other things. You're blinded to other opportunities. You're
hmm
blinded to even when someone is not essentially treating you badly. you know. So
Mm-hmm.
those things should not be focus, should not be your focus. Focus should be how to get integrated, how to find
100%.
community, connect yourself to
100%.
the community,
Yeah.
see how you can maximize every information that you can find everywhere,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a big part of why community is important. You know, you don't know
Yeah.
everything. You can talk to someone who knows something
Mm,
that that's might be missing somewhere, and you're able to connect. But beyond, even while building or finding these community, you need to be smart enough to filter what is relevant and what is not.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because some people
Yeah.
will give you information based on their bias. They'll give you information, even wrong information, that probably they did something wrongly, and they are
Yeah.
sharing that wrong information to you as gospel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to be able to filter all of this. So for me, it's this. These are my core. These are the things that I'm passionate about, talking to people
Yeah.
about, being
Yeah. Honestly, you said it all, really. It's about networking opportunities and just going out, be out there. I mean, it's also good that you acknowledge the importance of the language and that it's something that you're also working towards. And frankly speaking, I genuinely believe that if people would make the efforts to truly integrate, most of the things that they complain about will not exist anymore. Because I believe whatever we complain about here in Germany, it's also obtainable even where we come from. So what
oh
exactly are you
yes,
complaining about? That's then the
yes,
question, you
that
know?
is just the absolute truth. During the elections, the last elections, um I made a post one time to say that it is ridiculous that a lot of us as immigrants, or specifically Nigerian immigrants in this case, because it was our elections, we go abroad and we carry placards of um, equality and all that stuff, and how you should all be treated right. But then you're back home and you are having bigotry thoughts and ideas about who should rule and who shouldn't rule based on
Yeah,
ethnic differences, and things
yeah.
like that. So while we complain about these things, the difference between racism and ethnic and ethnic bigotry
What are we
is,
saying?
it's just location. It's not necessarily like it's a different thing. So
No,
we're still having the same battles
it's still the same thing.
everywhere. It's
Yeah, yeah. And for me, it's just focusing on what's more important, because you have two options. You can sit and keep complaining and talking about the problem and doing nothing, or you just do something, you know,
Mhm,
because regardless of how much you talk about it and you do nothing, it doesn't change anything, you know.
mhm,
And it then goes also to talking, it then goes also to the people you associate yourself with. And especially when you move either to Germany or any other part of the world, a couple of things are going to happen. You'll meet people that have been there for donkey years before you and have not been able to achieve anything. They have their mindset, their mentality, their experience, and they just kind of, I don't know, project that towards you. And then
mhm,
they share their own they genuinely tell you what is possible for you based on
mhm,
what they know, based on what they are informed about and all that. But don't forget that the two of you have different dreams. You come from
mhm,
different, maybe the same or different backgrounds, but at the end of the day, you're not necessarily going in the same direction. So you have to align yourself with people that can actually get you there where you hope to be. And it
mhm,
becomes even difficult if you have like existing family members here or friends, close ties that you land here. There is a certain expectation to align with them in some way.
in
But you
some
have
way,
to
yeah.
understand that you don't have to, especially for those of
True.
us who move abroad as adults. It's just crazy that we arrive here and we still can't make a decision for ourselves because the time is ticking, tick tock.
Yeah.
It was when I moved to Germany that I truly understand the value of time. That you truly understand that time is directly equal to money. There's no
Mhm,
no no two ways about it. It feels like back home we have more than enough time. It's like the time in Nigeria and Africa is running very slow, but the time here runs pretty fast. Before you know it, it's 1 year, it's 5 years, it's 10 years.
yeah.
And if you don't set yourself up from day one, before you know it, you will just end up like others people who just keep complaining about the system, about this, about that, and are doing absolutely nothing.
I think the
I
key is okay.
Yeah, go on,
Sorry.
please.
Yeah, I think the key here is balance. You know,
Yeah.
um, we need to be balanced in association. We need to be balanced in community. So within within every community, you find people like, just like you said, of different from different aspects of life. I feel, or I think that these different people play different roles in networking. So there are certain people that
Um,
you don't need to bother them with professional discussions, professional anything that relates to your career growth and thought and stuff like that, because they would never
mhm,
believe that you are going to prosper within that path that you are trying to go.
mhm,
So you already know that these are not the people you're talking to about this. You need to talk to so and so person about that. There are certain people you
yeah.
need to connect with, because these people know the ins and outs of the land. They know how
Mhm,
things work in Germany, whether they are
mhm,
Germans themselves or they are maybe second generation immigrants or whatever, or maybe
yeah.
your fellow immigrants. These people understand how the system works. Not everyone who has lived here for forever understands how the system works.
No, no. It's
So you need to
yeah,
find those people, and connect with them. They should be in your circle as well. You see
yeah.
those other people that sometimes we want to say these people don't know what they're doing.
Mhm,
Maybe the way they think about things are not as informed or as educated as we would want. Those people also have their own parts to play. Sometimes you have
so true.
family, that you need someone to. I don't know how to explain. Sometimes these people come in handy in certain ways that for
No,
example,
definitely.
if you're in the, let's say you're in the Nigerian church or something,
Mm-hmm.
you have a kid, you will see
Mm-hmm.
the importance of some of those people that you think those
Yeah.
ones that don't really go school like that. My sister,
Then you see
those
their value.
you will see their value. So the
Yeah.
key here is balance. There should be balance in our network, how we are relating with
Yeah.
people and people
Yeah.
that we find within ourselves. And like you said, we are grown adults, so we should know where to have the boundaries. These are the kind of
Yeah.
conversations
Yeah.
I cannot be having with you, no matter what you are
Yeah.
thinking. If you think that the whole world is against you as a person here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry that's the way you feel, but this is not the conversation I will be having with you. We can play
Yeah.
games, we can play football, we can hang out from time to time, drink and whatever. But we're not going
Mm-hmm.
to be having these. I'm not going to encourage you to have these conversations, because
Yeah.
the more you are exposed to some of these things,
Mm-hmm.
um, the more you begin to wonder if what you're thinking is actually true. But it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we should cut off every single person that we
No.
believe are not
No.
walking on the same path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, bearing in mind also that sometimes you too can influence these other people who you think are not
Of course.
probably thinking about it
Yeah.
holistically in
Yeah.
this case. So
Yeah. I guess the
balance,
nice
balance.
description of it is they call it compartmentalization. You know
Yeah.
where to put who, and you know where to get what from. And really, this balance is important because since you have no idea who's going to be handy or helpful to you, but at the same time, that balance needs to be there because it's sad that um, sometimes people don't know how to say yeah, no, or just truly express themselves, or people are scared of getting into a fight. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
think the way you build real relationships is if you're honest with people and you can actually tell them how you feel. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay if you have a fight temporarily, but if you're going to have a true and strong relationship, then you
You
have
don't
to
have
really
to
express
agree all
yourself.
the time.
You have to express yourself how you feel, and then the other person understands you, and then you actually build a stronger relationship, and then they know what topic to discuss with you about and what not to, and then they know how valuable you are and where they can come to you for what. And the same
Mm-hmm.
goes also for you to them. You also know when to reach them for what exactly. And at the end of the day, you see that your life is not boring anymore because when you think about A, B, C, D, you know who to go to for what exactly. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
just makes then a much beautiful life experience, living
True,
abroad.
true. And what you said is quite important, the part of people being able to come to you. Because sometimes I think we forget when we talk about connecting with people and networking, we almost want to always be at the receiving end of whatever information, help, support, whatever that this
Give
network
me, give
comes
me, give
with.
me, give me.
Yeah, give me, give me. So we need to also bear in mind that we should also be a channel for these
Yeah.
things as well. People should be able to also come to us and say, I need this information, that information, and be confident that if you have it, that you're gonna
Yeah.
give to them. Not a thing of say you are trying to be the only person at the top, you know. You don't want
Yeah.
anybody, you want everybody to be calling you boss, boss.
It doesn't
Or Gabi.
exist anymore. It's we're past that age already. Yeah. We're past that age already. Yeah. But how has the experience been like relating with yeah, maybe more specifically Nigerians, within in Germany, the Nigerian community or the African community, whichever one you've had. How would you describe your experience and what lessons have you learned?
I would say it's been a mixed bag, but
Okay.
it's been a mixed bag, but I've largely met really, really fantastic people.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I'm very optimistic generally. I don't
True.
expect too much from. I
Yeah.
don't give people. I don't put too much expectations on people, such that I don't get to be heartbroken or something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
feel that
Yeah.
somebody has disappointed me, you know, and all of that. I bet on
Yeah.
myself only solely,
True.
but in other people, I've met really fantastic people. I've built really great relationships. I've met really great friends within the Nigerian community and even outside of the Nigerian community. Let's say other Africans, say Ghanaians,
Mm-hmm.
Cameroonians. To be honest, I've met really great people. Probably because when I meet some of these people, I try to ensure that our conversation is, like I said, a give and take thing. That we are
Yeah.
exchanging ideas, or not just we're not just complaining to each other every single time that we meet, because it gets old and it gets boring. So I
All right.
try to stick with people who are not just complain. Meet it today, they'll say, this country stress me.
You- Yes. And then you ask yourself, what are you still doing here?
What am I still doing here? So I try to keep
Uh,
keep that circle. And the Nigerian community so far has been a very vibrant one, I would say. So
yeah.
communities like NICIG or NCIG, or so many other Nigerian communities that are within Nigeria, Nigeria, that are within Germany, whether it's for
Mhm.
scholars or for non-scholars, and just all of this. It's been beautiful. I say going for parties, having hangouts, and then
100%.
meeting people who you're able to think about the future with. Because there's
Yeah.
certain people you meet and then you guys are already talking, look, what can we begin to do as a people, as a community, to better our
Mhm.
chances for certain things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, the other part of the bag is I've also met people who are just, I don't know the word to use for them. They're just interesting people, you know.
A
That was I was
diplomatic way
saying.
to say it.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. They're interesting people because they have this mentality that if other people succeed, it's going to impact their own success. So they find it
Negatively.
difficult negatively, exactly. So they find
Yeah.
it difficult to share information, or to, nudge you in the right direction.
Mm.
They find it difficult to do that. I wouldn't say I've met a lot of these people. I would
Yeah.
say that I would say I've met maybe a handful.
Okay.
I've also met people who always believe that the Nigerian community is not a good community. That these people, everybody in this community, they're always doing something, 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 something.
Mhm.
People that are really shielded. They've, for whatever
Mhm.
experiences that they've gone through, gotten to
Yeah.
the point where they've really put up a lot of high walls in their interaction with people. I was conversing with someone one time, and he was complaining about how that some people, when they're in a particular place of, let's say, relevance or whatever, maybe in a company or whatever, they don't want to share opportunities that arise within their company, because they don't want someone to come in there and then
Mhm.
become,
Mhm.
like a rival or something. And I
Yeah.
found it quite
Mhm.
ridiculous, because during that conversation we're talking about synergy. We're talking about how we can do better as a community when we
Mhm.
synergize, when we
Mhm.
pull our resources together intellectually, and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and begin to do stuff. And he was making his comment. And what I said, that day had said that it's interesting that you have this opinion. So have you
Mhm.
experienced this personally? Has someone done this to you personally? He said no. So do you know anyone personally who it has happened to? He thought about it
No.
and said no. And then I was like, so where did you get this notion from? Where did you get this
Where is it coming from?
yeah, where is
Yeah.
this information coming from? And then he really did think about it and was like, well, it has happened to him, I think, in Nigeria or something. So
What kind of thought is this?
yeah, so
Oh my God.
it's very funny. So I told him that
Mm,
day that I think a bulk of our problem is that we keep sharing bad and wrong
yeah,
news to the
yeah.
point that it begins to sound like it's true,
And
you
it's
know?
normalizing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, if you've never seen this happen, you don't know anyone that happens to, it's not true as a matter of fact, because of course there would always be one or two bad eggs in every place. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you are from.
Yeah.
Or making
Hmm.
that a norm or thinking that that's a norm is what is really ridiculous. So, like I said, it's been a mixed bag. But I would say overall, um, I've met some really, really, really great people
Yeah.
within the community. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to give a shout out to anybody if you
Oh,
want?
shout out to Anita. Anita, Anita is the first.
Anita, where are you?
When she's watching this video, she knows herself. She has been a fantastic person because she was the first person that started introducing me to a few other communities.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, she was the first person that said, "Oh, okay, they're doing one to. Do you want to go?" I'm like, hmm. At this point, I was not really into the whole community thing. I just try and talk to people that I find around. I was not really
Okay.
bothered about any Nigerian that is in the next city. I'm not really bothered by that. But she introduced me into that. Even though she doesn't have, funny enough, I've never told her this, but yeah, she
Okay.
might hear this one today. So shout
Good.
out to her. Shout out to lots of great friends that we've had as well. Chiagozie, Buki, Tunu, so many people
Yeah. Yeah, guys.
that
Shout
I've
out to
met
you
that have
all.
been very fantastic
Yeah.
people. But beyond that, I've met some really fantastic Germans as well, even in this community. My
Great.
former colleague, Birgit, that woman is a heaven sent.
No.
She was such a blessing to me during my time in the office. When we came there, she
Mhm.
helped us settle quickly, helped us get a fantastic person, to be honest. And then another person, Anika. Anika is German as well. Fantastic lady. She's just the best. She will just stay one day and she'll say, "Oh, I saw this. I think you will need it. Come." And then I'm like, "Oh, really? This is possible." Fantastic. But in Germany, if you don't ask for information, if you don't ask for specific information, you don't get specific answers. So if you ask a
Yeah.
general question, you get a general answer. So you have to be specific in your questions for you to get
Mhm.
what is clear. So if someone
Mhm.
goes out of their way to
Mhm.
give you information that you didn't even ask for, that's a big deal. Or at least in my book,
Definitely. Yeah.
it is. So
Yeah.
at least off the top of my head, these are the few people
Awesome.
that really
And
comes
about
to
the
mind.
Nigerian communities that you know about and have been to, would you like to name some of them?
Nasig is one. I think you're also part of the Nasig in
You know, there's
NRV.
NICIC, there's the one with yeah, NRV. So the NICIC and
Yeah.
NRV. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one.
So Nasig is one. NCIG is one. It's a Nigerian community that is really just on WhatsApp. There's just every year there's party, there's hangouts, there's one thing. But through yeah, I always
After
say
all
party,
the
party,
stress,
that
you just go and
community.
chill.
That's the only thing we do there, our party.
Why not? Of course. I mean,
but but it's fantastic because you also come across some really great people even while all of this
yeah, when you
goes
get
on.
drunk, you start having some nice conversations.
Yeah, true. So it's there are other Nigerian communities that may not have names, but they are
Okay.
just Nigerians in this place, Nigerians in so and so place. But I'll say for those that have names, I think Naisig is one that stands out. Nido is another Nigerian community that is really good. Um,
Nido.
uh,
What does it stand
Nigerians
for?
in Nigerians in diaspora.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
I love
Nido is also a good community. There's FON, so Friends of Nigeria. It's also another community. They're doing fantastic stuff. I think they're really big in France, but
okay.
there's a branch now in Germany, and we are doing stuff. I'm also part of the FON guys, part of the
Hmm.
NCIG guys. But I'm always everywhere. If anywhere you see Nigerians, you're gonna see me there.
Okay,
If
you
you
know where
look
to find
very
me
well,
now.
you will see me there.
No, good
I
stuff.
think,
Good
yeah, I
stuff.
think off the top of my head now, these are the Nigerian communities that I can, think about. But there are other, let's say, like a Ghanaian, because I'm sure not just Nigerians watching.
Of course. Yeah.
There's FOG, Future of Ghana. There's
Okay.
Adan. Adan
Mm-hmm.
is very big. So Adan is actually really, really, is a really, really good community to be a part of because they do lots of fantastic stuff with career, DI discussions, networking with other big companies to give opportunities to people of color in terms of work, and stuff like that. So Adam is a very good community to be a part of.
Definitely.
There's idea.
Yeah.
Idea is not just a community. I think idea is largely for business people. So if you're into business, it's be a good community to be a part
Yeah.
of. What other community? There are a lot of them, oh, but just these are the ones I can
I
remember
mean,
now.
this is already quite a handful. Yeah, this is already
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
yeah.
But usually, if you just search, there's a thing with when your mind or your eyes is on something, you will just somehow be seeing. It's just like when you want to buy a car, and you've
Yeah.
decided that this is the car you want to buy. Somehow you start seeing that car everywhere, every single place you go to, you'll be seeing
Yeah.
it. All right, but
Until
the
you
same
buy
thing.
the
Once you
car.
start, exactly.
Yeah.
Once you start looking out for some of these things, somehow you begin to see more and more
Definitely.
that you can
Definitely.
then begin to.
Yeah. And I mean, this is already a good starting point, connecting with people directly. And then from there, they tell you about the next community and then about the next one, about the next one. And before you know it, you have quite a handful of options to choose from. And then you see, okay, hey, which one actually aligns with your motive, your intentions, and what you're looking for. Yeah.
True.
I'd like
Because
to
you can't
touch.
be joining every single community that you see.
Yeah,
You will
of course.
choose
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have only 24 hours like every other person. Not to mention in Germany, the clock goes a bit faster. So
faster.
that 24 hours
Yeah,
is not exactly 24 hours at the end of the
true,
day.
true.
I wanted to touch on the point about, yeah, how it's like the negative experience tends to be louder than the actual positive experience. I feel the same thing because for me, most times when I talk about Germany and my experience abroad, it's like it's fantastic, it's great. And frankly speaking, I genuinely feel only good things, only good experience. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely feel that. And that's also what I put out there. And sometimes I might come across that, oh, you're not being real, but the truth is, you just have to really rethink again and ask yourself, why are you saying those things that you're saying? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because some of those things that people complain about, they're obtainable everywhere. So why does it make a difference that it's happening to you here? And then it gets so bad that every time that's the only thing people are talking
Talk
about.
about, yeah.
And now these further extend into sharing opportunities, and to relate to the point which you mentioned about when someone finds themselves in a good position, in a good company, they don't want to give out information about maybe the opportunities there, the hiring process or something. They feel
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, if other people know about it, like the more when someone else succeeds, they don't succeed, like
Yeah.
success of other people affects them. But that's just the reverse, because today, right now, the innovations, the disruptions that we see in the world is because of information sharing and not because people are withholding information. The
True.
world, our communities, they're becoming better places because we are in the information age, whereby information it becomes very easy to disseminate information. You don't have to keep it to yourself. Whether you
Mm-hmm.
like it or not, that's actually what is pushing the world in most cases in the right direction. There are, of course, the drawbacks, but in general, the more we share, the better people we
Better.
are,
Yeah.
and also the better for the community. And
Exactly.
I was in the NICEC. Speaking about NICEC, I think so far from my experience, the NICEC Munich chapter, they are like the most. I have not experienced all of them, but so far those guys really stand out. They are like at the top. And maybe that's also because of the vibe of the state Bayern and Munich that feel like they
Mm-hmm.
are a different country, which actually they are because those guys are like super, super well organized. So I
Mm-hmm.
was in this event last summer, and then there was a Kenyan lady who gave a talk there, and there was something interesting which she said. She said you should, as an African, if you find yourself in a meeting, in a company or somewhere, that you are the only African, you should ask yourself, why are you the only person there? You know, you should want to know why you are the only person there. And you should feel, the, well, I say the need, or you should feel responsible to, if it's a good environment, of course, to open the door for other Africans to come, because it becomes more joyous when you come in the morning or whatever it is you're doing there, you see another face that looks like you.
That looks like
And
you.
the truth
Yeah.
is that it pushes you up, not down.
Mm-hmm.
And people have to
True.
understand this thing. It pushes you up, especially if you have the opportunity to be the first person of your kind to work in that company or whatever it is. Open the door for other people to come in, because for that people to let you in, there was something they saw in you. Of course, there's the risk. On the other hand, someone comes, does something bad, then it's also pushed to you. But
Mm.
most times, it's better to open the doors for other people like yourself than to try to shut the door, because it doesn't
It's
help in
always
any.
better. It's not
Yeah,
most times. It's always better. You can never
right?
completely avoid bad things from happening. There's
No,
no way to
no.
completely avoid it. So it's always, that's why there's certain communities you see how these guys thrive, like the Indian community, for example. I always
Yeah,
use them as an example because these guys are fantastic in their synergy. The Turkish
100%,
community,
hundred percent.
their synergy is really beautiful to see. How
Mm-hmm.
everyone just, like, you see an Indian student arrive Germany now, they will clamor around this person and give the person every single tool for success
Yeah,
that
yeah,
this person
yeah.
needs,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
stop the other person from graduating or getting a better job
No, no,
or whatever. I think sometimes we pride ourselves in saying that we think it's a thing of pride to say I am the only black person somewhere.
no.
There's
It's not.
nothing, yeah,
It's
there's
not.
nothing amazing about that. There are
No,
so
no,
many people that are only something in one place. It doesn't make you any better.
no.
But it's
Yeah.
one thing to think about wanting to help people get opportunities, or introduce people to opportunities. You yourself have to represent properly. I
True.
always say that we as a people, we're a walking country by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
We're a walking representation of everything and everyone that is connected to us. Because if you do
100%.
good work,
Mm-hmm.
someone comes across another person like you or that looks like you, the person
Mm-hmm.
has a good memory of
Yeah.
someone like you that they have worked with.
Yeah.
And then this is how these things begin to stack up. I've had the same
Mm-hmm.
experience when I was in Nigeria as well. I worked in I was working in an office, and a couple of times some people have been like, "Oh, I wish you didn't have a job. I'd have given you a job. I really like, want him." I'm like, I
Yeah.
have a job and I'm happy here, but I know somebody, you know, who
Yeah.
can deliver something much better. And
Mm-hmm.
I always feel very happy that based on people's interaction with me, at least I know 5 people who have gotten jobs just from someone interacting with the
Yeah.
work that I
Yeah.
did in a particular place. And that's the pride that we should be looking to get, that
You
someone is
know.
able to,
Yeah.
see what you do and say, can you bring someone who can do this just as good
Yeah.
as you are,
Yeah.
or as good as
Mm-hmm.
you can do it?
Yeah.
While this would not happen everywhere, of course. But the point is, let's try so that we are creating good memories, so that the road is better for other people who would walk
Yeah.
that path as well. So that when you're even opening the door that has been opened for you, when you're keeping it open, the next person will not get hit hit by the door.
You
They will say,
know.
this person, we already have one. And that one don't need to even try. We don't need another one to stress us.
Yeah. 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 I think people should feel more positive about sharing and giving access to others. And I mean, the best feeling actually is when you've made so much impact like that, that you go out, people come to you, you don't even know them, but you've done something for them that you did not really keep record of. I've had
Yeah.
this experience many times, so much so that sometimes I don't, I'm not trying to be cocky about it, but I've had cases where, yeah, people come to me, they say, call my name and stuff. I have no idea who they are. Not from a bad place, but because maybe they contacted me on LinkedIn, they said something, I forward a job post for them, I introduced them to a recruiter, I introduced them to someone who is hiring or something like that. And I just do these things by default, because I get an opportunity. I don't need it. I'm not interested, but I say, hey, even when I don't know someone, I just say, hey, but I have some few friends, some colleagues that are looking for this. Would it be okay to recommend them? And they say, yeah, by all means. And then I do that. I don't know, 2, 3, 6 months later, the person got the job, is working there. And then he comes back, he sees me somewhere, and then he just begins to tell me the story. I have no idea. I don't remember anymore. But it happened. And that
Yeah.
just becomes like a second nature. And before you know it, it's just more of the good vibes going out there, going out there, going out there. And I think that's something to be more proud of than to feel like I'm the only black person
I'm the
working in
only, yeah, exactly.
only
I
Nigeria.
always find that very weird, very weird when I hear it. It's
Yeah,
not a great thing
at all, at
to
all.
boast about. Especially
No,
bearing in mind that sometimes we are just fortunate. It's not because we are the best, you know.
no.
Sometimes we're probably just really, really fortunate that we were at the right place at the right time, do the
Hmm.
right thing, because there are some people that are actually better than we are, to be
For
honest.
sure.
These people are
Mhm.
smarter, they've got better experiences, or these are just, in all honesty, these people are all around better, but somehow they've not just been able to get that opportunity. And
Yeah,
because you are just lucky, let me not say you're just lucky, you worked for to get to where you are, of
yeah.
course, but
Mhm.
I always believe in my heart that there's always an extra iota of grace that we're all given. And
Definitely,
when you
definitely. Hmm.
experience that, don't don't now begin to walk, with your shoulders too high. Think I'll
No.
be giving everybody nuggets, say, in this life. Because we are quick to give advice and nuggets and say this, you do like this, you're not doing this, you're not doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Yeah, no, no, true, 100%. I mean, and that also brings me again to what we are doing and coming back to how I approached you and everything I told you before we have this conversation. Because for me, it all started back in 2015. I came to Germany in 2014 for my master's.
oh, it's
And
been a
then,
while.
yeah, it's been a while.
It's been
And
a while.
I've been talking like this since 2014, 15. I swear to God. I swear.
You're an
Um,
OG.
So, when I came, a few weeks later, I just have people always asking me questions like, okay, how did you do it? How did you do it? Because frankly speaking, back then, coming to study in Germany is not as common, as popular as it is today. The most common destinations back then were the UK, the US, Canada, and so on, English speaking destinations, especially if you're coming from an English speaking African country. So Germany is not usually the first place that comes to mind. So it was really new to people. And then somehow, in my class, I was the only black guy or the only Nigerian, but then I was a Cameroonian guy. But on campus, each time we walked, you can count the number of Africans that you see. Not to mention Lubeck was also a very small location. So the whole, promotion, I had my Facebook page, was just talking about it. Sometimes I just go live, and then I had the experience of struggling a bit with my studies, because my background back in Nigeria from biochemistry wasn't exactly the same as what was needed for my further studies here. So I thought to myself, okay, hey, it would not be nice for other people who want to study the same thing to have the same problem. I should make a way for them to at least have access to my notes. This was my
Mm,
thought. See my notes, see the scope of the course, and if you want to come, start preparing. Take some extra courses, just read these things on your own, read some topics on your
mhm,
own. And then, since back then I thought, okay, hey, who could do this for me? That was how I got in contact with my colleague, that we studied together back in Nigeria. He's a computer programmer. And I said, hey, can you make a website for me where I can share my notes? And then from there, he did that. And I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't only share my notes. I should have my friends who are studying other things, engineering and the rest, share their notes. Then I reached out to those guys. So more like, let's just replicate what I'm doing. And the goal was really
mhm.
simple. Before you come to Germany, have access to study somebody's notes so that you know what to expect when you come here. So if
Actually,
you
really
you are in
smart.
your like third, fourth year, that you can already just glance through these notes so that you know, okay, hey, if I'm coming for my master's, this is what I'm going to experience. So you can just take some time to study that thing. And we had, that was like our first website or product, which it was really cool, went for a while. But then the whole thing about, making posts across Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram was going on. I was having people every now and then to share their experience. And then we thought, instead of sharing the same thing across different media platforms, how about we have a location that just focuses on this type of information, that people can come and share their experience studying, working abroad, or whatever it is that you've done. Because for sure, you can get this information on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or wherever, but you will also find many other things there. How about there was
Mhm.
just one location that is really focused on connecting people around this type of discussion. And then it also became clear that also the problem is not just about coming in, because actually just coming in is the first step. When you
Mhm.
arrive here, that's actually when everything begins, because there are also a lot of things that you have to know here. So that means there's the challenge of getting in, but then there's also the challenge of settling in here, integrating, and then also thriving, obviously. And
Mhm.
that's actually how we came about the whole platform, Settling, with the
Cool.
meaning to settle in,
Settle in.
you know. And right
Smart.
now, I'm reaching out to as many people as I can that are passionate about sharing their stories. And it's really nice that, okay, meeting people like yourself and many other guys that I've had the opportunity to speak with, they have fantastic story, and I also feel the fire in them, how they just want to put it out there. And one thing is very common. You see these people that they prosper. They don't prosper because they are sharing this information, but they share this information as they are prospering, and it's just their second nature as a way to give back. I don't know if you get what I'm
Mhm.
saying. So you're not
Yeah.
giving back because, oh, I got this, but it's just your second nature. And the further you go, the more you just want to give, the more you just want to give. So I'm very happy that you're here today sharing your story. You're passionate about it, and that you're also doing the same thing, to other people, trying to tell them about the opportunities, which then brings me to your podcast, The Diary of Us. You know, maybe you could just, I think there's a story behind that and also what you're trying to do. And I also know you have a YouTube channel where you try to share your experience as well. But maybe you could just tell us briefly about the Diary of Us, what it's about, and where you are at now, and the other things you do besides, your professional work.
So Diary of Us was born out of the desire to hear from other people of immigrant background, how they
Okay.
have navigated different aspects of integration, of growth in a country that is not necessarily theirs. I went to listen to a podcast on this, but in
Mm-hmm.
English, because unfortunately I have not been serious enough to learn German. Probably that has also been a blessing in disguise in this aspect, because since I couldn't find one at the time, although now there are, I think, a few now, but at the time I couldn't find any. And then I was like, I could as well just start this podcast.
100%. Why not?
Yeah, it's just I couldn't find it. And that's just how it started. I just reached out to a few people to say this is what I think. The black community, or not just the black community, the immigrants community in Germany is a
Yeah,
thriving one. When we are
yeah,
not, our story is not just one sided or one faceted, where we are really, really dynamic in how we
yeah,
are made up, the things that we're
yeah,
able to do, the stories that that people share within their small circle is so amazing, and
yeah,
you were like, so this person is in Germany doing this as an immigrant. It's so fantastic,
yeah, yeah,
so I thought it was
100%.
a good thing to see these people more beyond just what we see and hear of stories
Yeah.
about immigrants, or maybe maybe somebody did one thing but then suddenly the same brush is used to paint everyone. But if we are
Mm-hmm.
seeing more people that have the same background like us, they might not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
look exactly like we do, but they have a
Mm-hmm.
background of having to leave what they are familiar with to a new place where they have to overcome a lot of these challenges that comes with immigration.
Mm-hmm.
These people can share how they're able to navigate all of this, be it
Mm-hmm.
network through network, through training, through whatever. How are they able to navigate all of this? So this for me was the core reason for that. And I've been able to record a few episodes, although for a couple of months now I've put a pause on that for lots of restructuring reasons, because I
Okay.
see a lot of potential in the podcast and a lot of things that we could do with it. So I want to really
Sure.
restructure and really come back better,
Yeah.
in not just the presentation but also in the people that I'm
Yeah.
reaching out to. And
Definitely.
luckily, I would say that almost everyone I've reached out to concerning this, I have gotten really, really very positive feedback. They've been very happy about it, that this is a really
Yeah.
good idea. We
Yeah.
need more people talking about this. So yeah, that's the gist behind the Diary of Us. So it's just like the name implies, a diary of all our stories, you
Yeah.
know.
It's
So just
lovely.
this as a concept, yeah, behind that. And
Yeah.
I really do love it. Um it's I've not done much on it, I would say right now, but it's something that is really close to my heart, and I hope that I'm able to do so much more on it. And then
Awesome.
for the YouTube page, there I share more things concerning living in Germany, but not just as a lifestyle kind of thing, but much more how to integrate and settle. So
Definitely.
I try to, just like you said previously, it's not just coming to Germany. It's
No.
when you arrive in Germany, what next? So that's more what I do on my channel. Once you're
Yeah.
in Germany, what next? You need
Yeah.
to register your apartments. How do you go about it? You need to
Yeah.
recycle. How do you do your recycling? You need to,
Yeah.
So I want my idea is to have my YouTube channel as some sort of a resource where you can go to find whatever it is you need to do in
Mm.
Germany and how you can go about it. Of course, from time to time, there'll be some fun stuff like just messing
Afro
around,
Star experience.
and stuff. But the core of it is finding resources for English speaking immigrants,
Yeah.
on how to do what they need to do without claiming to know everything, of course,
Of
because all
course.
of this we are also learning as we go.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
yeah, so without claiming to, because some people sometimes some people ask me some questions, they think maybe I know. Some people there's some people who ask questions, they will just tag me and say, okay, I don't know everything.
You are the guru of Germany. uh,
Sometimes I have to say, I don't even know what this person is talking about. Why are you tagging me on this
we're
question?
all learning. We're all learning. Yeah.
Yeah, but um it has been interesting so far, because through both the channel and the podcast I have met some really, really great people,
Yeah.
especially through the podcast, which is really amazing because podcast is pretty new, to be honest. But I've met so many fantastic people even through that
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then outside of that, of course, I have some other small things I do here and there. I run
Like that girl now.
Angel Girl. Me, I'm a businesswoman. I like to look for money.
Oh my God. Mm.
So I run a an edtech startup with my partner in Nigeria. We're not focused just in Nigeria, of course. We're focused largely, for now at least, largely sub-Saharan Africa, where we are training young people on AEC, on the AEC industry, so things related to architecture, engineering, construction. So giving
Okay.
them bit-sized information that they could translate into work. So
Yeah.
the main aim, of course, here is to empower young people to be able to empower themselves. So
Yeah.
you don't have to go to the university to be able to make some money. You can make
Yeah.
some money by learning some of these things online. So these are
That's
the main official things. The other ones are just several hustles.
no way. No way. No way. No, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to learn more about them and also see, yeah, potentially how we can also work together because at the end of the day, we're all we all have, shared vision to see that hey, people can access global opportunities. They have the right information to tap into these opportunities. And I feel
Mm.
like it's always nice that one is able to connect, with people that have, like-minded peoples. Yeah. And that's what we are all about here in Settling. We are the reverse of what, yeah, a few people are doing, not sharing. We are sharing. We are open about
Sharing.
information. We are
Sharing is
bringing people.
caring.
Sharing is caring. And we don't just do it, we also, yeah, we want other people to come and also do the same thing. It's a culture that we are promoting, a culture of ethical information sharing, opportunity sharing, because that's actually how we become, that's how we grow, that's how we become better people, not just where we are right now, but also back home and everywhere. And every impact you make wherever you find yourself, it goes beyond that, because you touch one person, the person does the same to another, to another.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's where all the difference, starts from.
Is yeah, true.
Okay,
Amazing
thank
stuff.
you
Yeah.
so much for your time. You have no idea how
Thank
grateful
you.
I am. Thank you so much. And any final words before we wrap it up? I don't want to take your time any further. It's Friday evening.
Abby. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really, really do. I'm always honestly very excited when we have these kinds of conversations. I honestly do believe that they are very important.
Yeah.
More people need to hear um, things that are possible or things that are doable, and
Mm-hmm.
see people doing these things and be encouraged to do them. And as
Yeah.
last words or last thought, it would be, even though I say advice, people don't, they're advising up, and I'll still give you advice anyway. The advice would be to, like I said previously, to not limit yourself, to know that the everything, every single thing is up for the taking. Just have it in
Mhm.
mind and just run with it. As long as I tell someone, as long as someone can speak, I usually say, if someone can speak English, I can talk to you. Don't be afraid to talk to
Mhm.
people. This is a new thing, honestly. Ah, yeah, I've
No,
gone
no,
off.
I'm here. Go on. I'm just putting you
Okay.
on as the focus.
Okay.
No fear. I'll
Oh,
go here.
I got scared for a minute.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no, no.
So this is a new thing that I've honestly started talking to people about now, is
Mm.
to not be too afraid
Yeah.
of what is possible. Sometimes we're within a bubble and we forget that the world outside of that our bubble is up for the taking, and then sometimes we're also afraid of what it is that is out there. Even
Yeah.
talking to people, don't be afraid. If you see somebody you want to reach out to and talk to, send them a message. Of course, don't
Yeah.
go sending unnecessary. Don't go and be saying hi, hello, how are you doing. Be strategic with your networking with people, because people are busy,
Mhm.
so reach
Yeah.
out to people and don't be afraid to talk to, because a lot of times I find that when you talk to certain people that you think are all that, you realize that they're not really all that. Oh. They're at the core, they are first humans like you and I. So
Yeah.
first
Approachable.
think of exactly first think of them as humans and
Yeah.
relate with them in that mind, and know that there's nobody that is beyond reaching and
Yeah.
assessing. If the
Um,
highest thing they'll tell you is no, or the highest thing they'll do, they'll not answer you. That's the highest that can happen. Nothing, yes.
how bad is that? Your
How
life
bad
goes
is that?
on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then aside all of this is to ensure that whatever we do here, remember that you are first a foreigner. Even though I talk about how you shouldn't um think too much of who you are in terms of skin color or whatever, but also remember
Mhm.
that you're a foreigner. So it means
True.
that when you're planning for certain things, think about it as someone who is not the son of the soil. The way you will do things braggadociously in Nigeria is not the way you do things here. So
Yeah.
you need to bear that in mind and be honest, because I see that as an honest conversation with myself. But there are certain
True.
things that I, as an immigrant, might not be able to get so easily. So if I need to put something extra to get it, then I should know that,
Mhm.
and put it
Mhm.
extra. It's okay if you have to work 110% than other people, even though some people think it's not. I think it's okay, because you
Yeah.
know in your mind that you need to do more than the average person. Then just do it and just be good. That
Yeah.
might be a controversial thing, but that's my own thought, on that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then please do everything you do legally. Sometimes we, in the bid to cut corners, we end up, you know, doing things that maybe we didn't think is illegal, but because we've
Yeah.
attempted to cut corners, we then end up finding ourselves in positions that, at the end of the day, would put us either in trouble or take us a few years behind. So no matter
Yeah.
how difficult the road may be, please
Mhm.
follow the road the way it is expected of you. You
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
I think for me um these are the main things. And
Awesome.
the last thing, everything in this journey is case by case. Case everybody's case is unique. So let nobody's story influence your own story. Even experiences in Auslander Beholder, as much as Auslander Beholder is our general problem, but people
Hmm.
still have different unique experiences even
Yeah,
as they go there. So when
yeah,
people have bad stories or good stories,
yeah,
go with an open mind. Whether it's
yeah,
work, whether it's whatever, just be
whatever.
open to know that your case is always unique from the other
Mm-hmm.
person.
Ah, we
And
are
these are
wonderful.
my thoughts.
You are one. No wonder people come and ask you all sort of questions because you have the wisdom. No, but really, you've said it all.
Yeah.
Said it all. And guys, yeah, if this is your first time here, feel free to check out Settling, sign up, and this is actually what we're promoting: ethical information sharing. People arrive, people like are in different stages in the migration space, so you need to identify where you are and who do you have to connect with, just to see that yeah, you get the best of experience. And not to forget to give back as well, because you don't always have to be at the receiving end. I think there's a saying that giving is more blessing than receiving, or how giving is
Yes.
better than receiving, or
It's
something
something
like
like
that.
that. There's more blessing in giving than in receiving.
100%, 100%. So thanks to everyone who's watching us from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you so much for staying until this time. My name is Mike once more, and I am the co-founder of SETLINN. I do a couple other stuff, so feel free to connect with me and you learn more about what I do. And this evening, I had the pleasure of having Ogenna in our virtual studio, and she has been nothing but wonderful, and I am so grateful to her.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I wish you a nice Friday evening, and
And
be
you
sure
too.
you will hear from me again. I will not stop sliding into your DM.
I'm here. My DM is open.
All right, cool. All right,
I'm
cool.
here. Cool.
Thanks, and have a good evening, and bye for now.